Hello, my friends. I have a helpful note on one thing that adds a lot of effectiveness to recovery and makes our tools and the whole process really work. And that's self-talk. And this is something that I know in the programs that I know about. I know for sure in the visualization aspect of both DNRS and Primal Trust, which I would imagine Regulate rounds are similar to Primal Trust rounds. There is an element where you address your limbic system and you kind of go through a series of speaking to this part of yourself essentially and telling it that you're going to be doing things differently or giving a different context to, what this visualization practice is about. And that's one area where this is built in. And I've worked with some people where, because of the way in particular DNRS kind of offers self-talk, and even that phrase, a lot of people have walked away from coaching calls saying, oh, okay, so I need to talk to myself more. And what I would like to reframe that to, or add to that, is there's a big difference between talking to yourself and communicating with yourself. That's huge. And in this process, you give the meaning to your practices and your choices and your actions in your day-to-day in recovery, and where you're coming from in yourself when you are choosing to practice, when you're choosing to face a trigger or do an incremental training or redirect a brain pathway. It's where you're coming from within yourself that makes it effective. So this is much more about, and this goes back to something I've said a lot, that recovery is the relationship you have with yourself. And that's the first thing that self-talk, we'll just call it that for this video. The first effect it has is it forces us into our prefrontal cortex, the rational part of our brain, and the adult aspect of ourselves, the more mature aspect of ourselves. And it also forces us to actually say, well, do I really believe what I'm telling myself? Because if we don't believe what we're telling ourselves, our limbic systems aren't going to believe it either. So it's a really powerful thing in recovery. A couple of places where this holds a lot of weight are, a lot of times the questions I get a lot, both here and in coaching everywhere, are like, am I doing it right? Do I need to use the tool at this time? What tool is the best kind of tool? But it's not about that at all. I want to give you an example. So let's say that you are using visualization or somatics or anything, laughter, music. You're using a tool because you're activated, but there's an underlying fear of the experience of the symptom. And that's why you're going to a tool, because the subconscious thought is, if I regulate myself, I'll stop having this symptom, or I can make it go away, or I want to use the tool to try to make the symptom go away because I'm afraid of it. It's uncomfortable and I don't think I can handle it. Or maybe that is something that works for you. When you use tools, you do feel better, but you use the tools to avoid discomfort instead of building resilience and using them to add regulation and put you back into that prefrontal cortex, that executive function, that mature adult self, so you can live out your value system. That's a very big difference between, using it as, in a sense, from fear or to escape our symptoms, instead of saying, oh, my limbic system's activated, the baby's crying. I'm recognizing that means I need some dose. I need to, my limbic system has hijacked my brain. That's what's going on. I need to get back in the driver's seat. I need to get back into my PFC, my prefrontal cortex. I need to get back in dose. So I'm going to, use my tools to generate dose and get back into that driver's seat in my own brain. Very, very big difference, those two things. And that is really the key to, a lot of times to success and to tools being used effectively is, why are we using them? Where are we coming from within ourselves? I see a lot of folks using tools reactively, kind of trying, like, the limbic system is not really believing something. It's feeling unsafe. It's like, oh, I think the symptom is a threat. I think this activity is a threat. I don't feel safe. And then the person kind of reactively using tools to try to push it back. But because that person's not coming from the adult aspect of themselves and they're not really believing that they're safe, the limbic system doesn't feel any safer. It's like if you asked the pilot of a plane, like, are we safe? And they were kind of sitting there tremoring and shaking. They're like, maybe, I think so. I'm not sure. Yeah, sure. Go sit down now. You're going to be like, bro, are we gonna crash? Like, what is going on? If the person driving the plane, like the person with the power doesn't feel confident, I don't feel safe. And that's such a big deal in this. So it's more about two things: really standing in what you believe and choosing and really being clear on, like, am I really choosing to believe the science of this and stand in that, and communicating with yourself. Because there's also a big difference between kind of going around and being like, stop, 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 or that's a false message, and just kind of reactively saying something to ourselves throughout the day. And we're kind of like talking at ourselves, like throwing words at yourself. And I'm sure you know what it's like to be spoken to by someone who isn't trying to communicate with you. They're just talking at you. It's very easy to do that with ourselves. So when we're really communicating with ourselves, that implies we have to be in our authority. We have to be in our adult self, more so striving to really believe the science and really believe what it is we're communicating to this part of our brain that's very undeveloped. Is the reptilian aspect. It's like at the, like a puppy 3-year-old, 2-year-old level, very young part of us. We need to be in a position where we're very present, where our facial expressions, our body language, we stop our matching what we're communicating. So if we're communicating, we're in a very frazzled, fearful, or really negatively sarcastic way, like we don't really believe what we're saying, with kind of like ennui teenager kind of vibe, then the brain's not going to believe you. So it really requires us to step into that, which is amazing. But then there's that presence. And that's key. When you are practicing, when you are redirecting any part of your practice, stop what you're doing for a moment. Like stop and become present to yourself. Become aware of what's going on inside your brain. Remind yourself, my amygdala is overactivated. My limbic system is activated. It's hijacked my brain. This experience I'm having is only happening inside of me. This is not real. I'm not in danger. This is a false message from my brain. This is what's happening. I'm going to communicate to myself these things. This is a false message. I'm safe. Everything's okay. Nothing's wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't need to go search on the internet to figure out what the symptom is. It's just my limbic system. I just need to focus on something positive. Hey, limbic system, we're safe. None of this is real. It's okay. Bring yourself back. And then from there, you can, whether you're doing somatic tracking and being present with the symptoms or redirecting away from them, doesn't matter, but that you're present and truly communicating with yourself, being present with yourself and really believing what you're communicating, so that and doing it as confidently as you can. It might not feel perfect. That's okay. As confidently as you can, so that your limbic system actually has a reason to feel safe. So this is a huge part of recovery, and varying levels of self-talk are helpful, but this can be truly one of the most healing things in recovery. And last note on this, if you're still with me, saying it out loud can really help, because when you actually hear the vibration of your voice, and part of it too is that it's hard to say something you don't really believe. You'll be able to feel it in your body that you don't really buy into what you're saying. So when you say something out loud, or if you're trying to communicate, comfort to yourself, actually hearing that out of your own, like hearing it come out of your own mouth and feeling that vibration in your body, those are sensory aspects that really help the brain to feel that there's an adult here and you actually mean what you're saying. And that's something I actually used to say the same thing over and over again until I could feel like I actually meant it, because I could tell that like I wasn't buying my own message. And so I was like, I got to keep saying this until I can actually be like, yes, I mean it. So that's another thing, that whenever it's available to you, whenever you're in an environment where you can speak out loud to yourself, that's an incredibly helpful thing to do. Love you guys.